Faithlife has just released Logos 9, brand new software. It looks a lot like Logos 8. So when you log in, you're going to see the same tools, the same kind of information. But now we have new tools under the guides and in the tools. So for guides, we now have a counseling guide. We're going to go through this in just a minute. For tools, we have a sermon builder and a sermon manager. Lots of extra features and things added. For example, the fact book. We'll take a look at that real quick. You just type in what you're looking for. There's been a lot of new features. It has 10 times the features it used to have. So we have tools, layout, lookup, reading, search, but we also have counseling topics, theological terms, manuscripts, lemmas, lots of new information there. The Factbook visual filter will underline certain words in the text. When you hover over one, you'll see information that you can get more information if you click on it. For example, let's just click on one. The Factbook visual filter will underline keywords in the Bible text. So when you click on one, like I've clicked on this one, it'll open the information in the Factbook where you can get more information. This includes key articles from lots of your resources, dictionaries, commentaries, media, events. So I've got media, where it's referred to, events, sermons, workflows. Passage Guide now has new filters. For example, commentaries, you can see it by priority, by series, by author, by denomination, by type, and by era. Just selecting one will show you the different eras with the dates, denomination, the different denominations of the authors. It makes it a lot easier to get exactly what you're looking for. The sermon editor is now the sermon builder. Has a few new features. The sermon information is moved over to the right side. We now have text editing tools, so we can choose the different size fonts, we can choose different colors, we can bold, italics, use underline. It works a lot the same as it did before. So you can just type in a verse and then it appears for you. For example, let's type in Acts, just one at random here, 21, and then it enters the verse for you. You can also see it as text, see it as slides because it creates the slides for you as you go. It still has handouts and questions, but these are not usable. These are only usable if you already have sermons that you made with Logos 8. The handouts feature has been depreciated in Logos 8, and of course it's not usable now in Logos 9. I like to see this back because I think that's a good tool. Another interesting tool over here on the right is the sermon notebook. Whereas before we would have to go out of the sermon editor and open the sermon notebook, and it's two different tools. Well, now they're integrated. We can use them together. You can add notes and things to your sermon notebook, drag them over to your sermon, and use them together. Another interesting tool is Preach Mode. Click on Preach Mode, and it opens your sermon in a web browser. And then you can see it as just the text with arrows to go from page to page. You can change the font size. You can go paging or scrolling. So if you wanted to scroll instead of have arrows, you can see the slides or not, turn them on or off. And now it has a timer. And the timer, you can set it for how many minutes you want to preach. Tell it to flash 1 or 2 minute warnings, and then tell it to flash when you're over time, and then start the timer. You can use this or not. It's up to you. Sermon Manager lets you see all the sermons that you've added to Logos so that you can plan a series. You can see them as a list, or you can see them as a radial calendar. Now, I don't have any on here to show as the calendar, but it'll show you the year, and then you can plan out your year. This is really good for creating sermon series. And you can filter it by year, you can filter it by month. See a calendar, see liturgical, however you want to handle it. Another of my favorite tools is the counseling guide. Select this and then just enter your topic. It'll give you several things to choose from, and they include the counseling topic with related topics you can click on. Gives you a summary of the information, gives you lists of resources, related topics, passages, and then monographs. Just click on the quick reference guide, and then here you'll see portraits, which gives you some examples. You'll see definitions and key thoughts. You'll see ingredients for good parenting. We have love, discipline, guidance. Then we'll see assessment interview. Now, what this does is gives you questions to ask the people that you're counseling. And then this helps get them talking. So ask the questions, fill in your answers, helps get them talking. Wise counsel gives you things to be sure to say to them when you're counseling them. This is things to encourage them, things for them to focus on. The main points are in italics, so they stand out. It also gives you action steps. This is kind of like homework, things for them to do, and it steps you through it. Develop a plan, adjust the plan as needed, review the plan on a regular basis, be consistent, pray together, spend time together. It also includes biblical insights. So it gives you the scriptures and then information about those scriptures and how they're applied. Prayer starter, just a quick little guide, something to pray about. And then recommended resources. The recommended resources include books and websites. It doesn't take the place of counseling education or counseling experience, but it's one of those areas where we as pastors don't always get the experience we need, and we need to be able to talk to someone when we need to, and we don't always have the information that we need. What this does, though, is it keeps you on track. It makes it simpler for you and helps step you through it. So it doesn't take the place of education, it doesn't take the place of experience, but is a good guide that works. It works well. It's one of my favorite tools in this. I'm glad they've added it. I think it's added in silver now, if I understand correctly. Before it was in diamond or above, so that's where you got a lot of your counseling tools, but now you have counseling tools in the lower levels of Logos. We can now create a reading plan directly from our library. So let's just pick a book here. If we right click on a resource, we now have Start Reading Plan as one of our options. I have turned on the information guide because all of this popped up above over my resources and I can't read what they are. So I turned that off and turned it over here so that it opens. You can also start it from here if you want to. So if you select Start a Reading Plan, if it's a book that has chapters, it will give you a reading plan option to read by the chapter. I like that. It's a really good tool. We also have dark mode. So select help, select dark, and then we have to restart. I'll do a quick restart. And then when Logos 9 starts back up, we're in dark mode now. This is really good for low light. So if you're reading in the dark, I tried this the other day. Typically I can't read white text on a black background because it just hurts my eyes too bad. But I could read this a little bit. I did have to turn down my brightness, but it still works really well. But for those that can use dark mode, this is a good tool. For interactive media, now we have Bible Books Explorer, and we can see it by books, by timeline, by intertext. It shows the Old Testament references that are in the New Testament. We can see it by stats. We can see it by list. And it shows you the amount of the book that is narrative, procedural, behavioral, expository. Click on one and it just gives you a rundown of the information. And this is a basic book introduction with theme, summary, purpose, message, and some details. Also in the interactive media, the before and after tool has a lot more photos now, a lot more images that we can use. So this is now an expanded tool. So Logos 9 has a lot of new features. It works really well. My favorite are the counseling guide and the sermon builder and the sermon manager. Of course, the fact book does add a lot of new tools and it makes it a lot easier to use. Most people do like to just enter what they're looking for here in the search box, and the fact book makes that easier, makes that faster. So that's a quick look at Logos 9. It's a good tool. I like it. It's really good for sermon editing, for sermon building. It's good for ministry. It seems to have a strong focus on pastoral work and on preaching. I especially like the addition of the counseling guide. I think that's my favorite new tool. Since I am a Logos partner, I can give you a deal. If you buy through my link, you'll get 15% off plus 5 free books. I'll post a link in the notes so that you can make a purchase. And I do get part of that sale since I am a partner, and that does help keep BibleBuyingGuide.com running, and I appreciate that very much. So if you have any questions, let me know. That's our quick look at Logos 9. Faithlife did supply this in exchange for an honest review. I've used this for 2 weeks already, and I like it. I'm going to use this a lot more. And I hope in the future to be doing a lot of tutorials. I'll show how to use some of these things. For example, how to use Bible journaling, how to do passage study, Hebrew, Greek study, topical study, study guide, Bible commentary. I'll show how I develop a sermon, and I'll show some marking techniques. I think Logos is the best of the Bible software for Bible marking because it has lots of choices. It has solid colors, emphasis markup, highlighter pens, inductive or precept marking. I love those. So it has more marking tools than any of them. So I'm going to go through and show some of these details, some basic uses of Logos 9. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.